Hola, hey everybody, how you doing? Hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe and healthy. I miss you guys so much, and I really want to just say I appreciate how well you guys are doing and keeping up, and I appreciate your communication and reaching out to me with questions. So keep up that. You guys are really doing a stellar job. If you have, been slacking maybe a little bit, you do have time to submit, past activities still. The point is get them done, okay? If they're late, that's okay. I know you are bombarded, I'm sure, and overwhelmed with a lot of work from other classes. So you can do them at your pace. Even if things are going to be late, just keep submitting them and I'll keep taking them, no problem, okay? What I don't want for you to do is wait until like the last minute and try to get caught up. So hopefully you guys are maintaining some pace. That way you don't get very overwhelmed with just my class alone, okay? So today we are doing a new topic, and I say new like air quotes because it's not super new. It's a topic that you've in fact already learned before, but because we are in level 3, we take it a little bit further, okay? So my paper right now is like this. I'm going to actually ask that you pause your video and grab a piece of loose leaf or a couple pieces of maybe computer paper or any kind of paper you have that you can use to take 1 or 2 pages of quick notes with me for this video. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this video is I'm actually going to turn my page horizontally and do half at a time. My screen, I'm doing a little makeshift videos from my phone, so you're only going to see half of my paper at a time. Okay, but it should be no problem as it's a video and you can pause as needed. All right, so we are going to review in Spanish our 2 ways to say for, which is por and para. Okay, so I'm going to start over here on the left side of my paper by writing in large letters the word por. Okay, now as I just mentioned to you, por and para both mean for, but they also have a variety of other words that they can also mean. Okay, so what I have done is developed an acronym for por and for para to help us remember in which situations we would use either one. So for por, we're going to start off by writing down this way these letters: U, B, R, A, G, G, E, D. U, B, R, A, G, G, E, D. Okay, and yes, it reads you bragged. I know it's not really a word, but it's just a little acronym to help us remember. Okay, so of course with acronyms, each of these letters stands for something. So what these all stand for is a situation or context in which we would use this word por. Okay, so right now on your paper, all you're going to do is just write down what I am writing right here for a little note page for reference for yourself. Okay, so our first letter U stands for unit of measure. Unit of measure. And we're also going to do some parentheses right after that to give us a little bit more specific of an example of when we would use that. Unit of measure. So we would use the word por for the English word per or by. Okay. So, let's say, for example, you were saying somebody is driving 20 miles per hour. You would use the word por. Okay? Our letter B stands for by means of. By means of. Okay? So in parentheses, we are going to write by way of. Okay, so an example where you would utilize por for this situation would be if you were saying we are traveling by plane. We talked by means of the phone, on the phone. You could say, nosotros hablamos por teléfono. Or nosotros viajamos por tren. We traveled by train. Okay, so you would use por in that situation. Our next one, letter R, stands for reason. Okay, and then in parentheses here, we're going to add because of. An example of this might be, trying to think of an English example here. There are fewer trees in the forest because of deforestation. Por deforestación. Okay? Because of. Our next one, letter A, stands for around or through. Okay, and I'm not even going to write parentheses because it's the same thing, around or through. So if you wanted to say we walk around the lake, we would say nosotros caminamos por la playa. Or we travel through New York, nosotros viajamos por Nueva York. Okay? Our letter G stands for gratitude. So we use the word por when we're saying thank you for something. So for our parentheses, we will write thanks for. If I was thanking my mom for flowers, I would say gracias por las flores. Thanks for. Okay? If I wanted to thank all of you for working really hard, I would say gracias por trabajar tan duro. G, our second one, stands for general location. And folks, that's very similar to around and through, okay? So we're just gonna add a couple of more words for general location. We already have around and through. Here we're going to add along, around, by. Okay, so if you wanted to say we were strolling, we strolled through the park. Nosotros paseamos por el parque, or around the park, por el parque. So we can use por for any one of those words. Our letter E stands for exchange. Exchange. Okay, so that would be for or in exchange for. An example of this one that you hear often is talking about money. Yo pago $3 por la pluma. I pay $3 for the pen, or in exchange for. So I'm exchanging my $3 for una pluma, for a pen. And our last one for this one is duration. Our letter D stands for duration. Duration just simply means how long something lasts. So we're going to write in parentheses for, during, and then length of time. Okay. So if I wanted to say the movie lasted, and the verb to last in this case would be durar, D-U-R-A-R. If I wanted to say the movie lasts 2 hours, for 2 hours, I would say la película dura por, right, for how long? 2 horas. Okay, so those are our main uses of our word por. Okay, so as we see here, it can mean a lot more than just for. So I'm going to now shift over to this side of my page, and I'm going to write down our other way to say for, and that's para. P-A-R-A. This one is a little bit shorter. Okay, our acronym for this one, it's not really a real word, but it will help us remember, is P-R-O-D-D-S. Prods. Okay. So our first letter P here, this one stands for purpose. This is one that a lot of you have picked up on so far this year. When I tell you that sometimes we have to use the word para in front of a whole verb, it can mean, in parentheses here, we're going to add in order to. Okay, and I'll give you an example of that. So first P is purpose, in order to. So for example, if I wanted to say, in order to complete my homework, I need a pencil. In order to complete my homework, I need a pencil. Para completar la tarea, yo necesito un lápiz in order to. So see how that comes in front of the whole verb. Para completar, right? Let me think of another example for you. In order to speak Spanish, I need to practice. Para hablar español, yo necesito practicar. Okay? So this often comes before a whole verb. Our second one, letter R, stands for recipient. Recipient. And that just means somebody who's on the receiving end of something, right? For someone. So if I were to give my mother some flowers, she would be the recipient of those flowers. Okay? An example, using the same thing, my mom and flowers, if I wanted to say the flowers are for my mom, I would say las flores son para mi mamá. Okay? This video is for all of you. Este video es para ustedes. Okay? You are the recipient. Our O stands for opinion. Opinion. So in this case, our parentheses will be for or according to. For or according to. So if I wanted to say to you, for example, for me, Spanish is very easy, or according to me, Spanish is very easy, I would say, para mí, español es muy fácil. For my mom, Spanish is very difficult. Para mi madre, español es muy difícil. So we're giving opinions or according to. Okay? Our letter D, our first one, stands for destination. Destination. Okay? So in our parentheses here, we're going to write, again, for or going to. Okay, so an example would be for destination, for or going to. Let's do a future tense in there as well, because we know salir means to leave, right? And it's an irregular in future that we've been practicing with lately. So if I wanted to say I will leave, I would say yo saldré. So if I wanted to say I will leave for Mexico on Monday, I would say yo saldré para México en lunes. So talking about destinations, okay, where you're going. If I wanted to say my mom is leaving for the store at 5, I would say mi mamá sale para el supermercado a las 5. Okay, so talking about somebody's destination, where they're going. Our second D stands for deadline. And we had that as a vocab word, didn't we, recently? La fecha límite. Remember that meant the limit date, aka deadline? So a couple words here we're going to add in for deadline. Okay, we are going to add due, by, for, or on. So if I wanted to say the activity is due Monday, I could say la actividad es para el lunes. Okay, so we can use that for the word due. Okay, if I wanted to say I need to complete the activity by Monday, I could say, or I would say, yo necesito completar la actividad para el lunes, by Monday, okay? Or for Monday. So all these little words in here we can use por and para for those situations, what we see in the parentheses. So when you guys asked me in class before, I know for means por or para. There's also so many other things that it can mean, okay? But don't get overwhelmed, because we're going to practice with it, and we're really going to solidify that. Okay. And then our last one is almost kind of goes hand in hand with opinion. Our last one, letter S, stands for standard. So standard and opinion are very, very similar. Okay. And we're going to write in here for being. Okay. So if I wanted to say, for a boy of 12 years old, he is very tall. Para un chico de 12 años, él es muy alto. Okay? So a lot of times students will kind of think of opinion and standard going hand in hand. They kind of can overlap sometimes. I don't want you to get too concerned with thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to distinguish between opinion and standard? They're similar. Don't worry about it. Just know that they can kind of go hand in hand. This one really does kind of translate though as to for being. For being a teacher, I am, I was going to say very funny, but not very funny. Para ser una profesora, yo no soy muy cómica. I'm not very funny, even though teachers really aren't funny. But example right there, just to give you another one. So we're going to add a few more things here at the very bottom or anywhere on this paper that you have room, because yours might look different than mine. We're going to add a little bit of info just very quickly here at the bottom. Just make a little section off like this. It doesn't have to be too large. And we're going to write down verbs that don't need por or para. Verbs that don't need por or para. I'm going to switch to a pencil here. I wanted this to be bold enough so you can see it. I've got a little bit of natural light coming in here, so I didn't know if there'd be a glare. But hopefully, I'm trying to see, can I zoom in? Yeah, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Hopefully that won't cut off. So the verbs that don't need por and para, like meaning for, there are some verbs that kind of already have for in the definition. So our first one is the verb esperar. So jot that down. Esperar. And that means to hope for. And we know it can also mean to wait for, or just to wait as well. All right. Our next one that does not need por or para is the verb buscar. Buscar means to look for. So it already has the word for in the verb. Buscar means to look for. We wouldn't want to say por or para. And then our last one is the verb pedir. And that's to ask for. So we would not need to use por or para for any of these three verbs. Okay? Because the word for is already in there. And the last little thing that we are going to jot down, I'm going to shift over here. And if you have room, it might be best for you to write it down. Let me zoom out a little bit. Under the por side, because I'm going to give you three expressions now that we use with the word por. So anywhere down here, they're pretty short, or anywhere on this side would be best, because that way you can see that it goes along with por. Okay. So our first one, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I'm just hoping that this won't get cropped out. Let's take a look. Okay. Our first one is por fin. Por fin. Two separate words. Por fin. Okay? Fin actually means end. Think of your phrase fin de semana, end of the week, right? Fin, the word fin means end. Por fin kind of means like at last or finally. So we're just going to jot down its meaning. It means finally or at last. Por fin, my love has come along. Ever heard that song? At last? Por fin. Okay. So our next one is going to be por lo menos. Okay. Menos is a cognate word. It looks like minus, right? It means less or least or minus. So we're saying here at least. This means at least. Por lo menos. At least. So we've got at last and then at least. And then I'm going to do our last one down here. I'm just hoping it will not crop out. Our last one, número 3, is por eso. Por eso. And that means therefore. Or that's why. So just a quick example. If I wanted to say, for example, I don't have a car. That's why I ride a bicycle. I would say, no tengo carro. Por eso yo uso una bicicleta. That's why I use a bike. Just an example, okay? All right, so this is a note page. I will also take an image of this and attach it as well for you, but I do want you to have your own copy, so that's the purpose of this video, okay? This video is for you to do your own note page, but I will put a digital one too. I want you to have a hard copy of it, okay? So we're gonna use these notes right here for one small activity. I know this is like a 20-minute video or so, so I'll give you just one activity to go along with por and para. However, I do want you looking through these. Instead of doing, Quizlet or whatnot, I want you looking through these and really understanding what each letter of each one stands for. So I want you to start taking some time on looking over por and memorizing you bragged and what each one stands for. I'm not too worried about if you don't recall what's in the parentheses, but you should know unit of measure, by means of, reason, around, through. So start taking some time and at least memorizing what each of these letters stands for por and para. And I'll attach one small activity for us to do with that, and then that will be it for this week. We'll have that due on Monday, okay? Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much, folks. I really appreciate you guys doing a good job and keeping up your end, okay? Means a lot to me. I really miss you all, and I hope you're all doing well, okay? Hasta luego.